Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Christine Chow, and I'm the Nurture Marketing Manager here at Tune. And I have with me here today John Coutzier. He's our mobile economist. Hey, John.
Hi, Christine. How are you? Good to be with you here, and good to be with anybody who's in Facebook, and super excited to talk about marketing technology for 2018. What are the most transformative technologies? It's going to be fun. I'm the mobile economist for Tune. I also write for Forbes and Inc. magazine, and looking forward to digging into this with you, answering a bunch of questions, and having some fun. Quick intro on Tune. If you never heard of us, Tune is a company that connects customers with brands, connects brands with their customers at scale in lots of different ways on mobile and other ways as well. Our tech is in 3.5 billion devices globally, and looking forward to chatting about this.
Awesome, John. And if you're joining us from all over the world, feel free to comment with where you're joining us from or what you think actually will transform marketing in 2018. So pretty exciting topic. We're going to have a lot of fun. So John, you actually asked 350 CMOs, influencers, and CEOs what they think will transform marketing in 2018. That is quite a large number of people. So what did you find out?
It is a large number of people, and I mean, I'm pretty pumped as well because we got really cool people to comment. Brian Solis, Jeremiah Owang, top analysts, right? CMOs of major companies, Dun & Bradstreet, for instance, influencers like Tamara McCleary, right? Julie Albright, others who are really, really super in tune with where things are going, what's happening, and a lot of people who are actively CMOs, Anna Winterstein, Smarter Time in Europe, many other companies like that as well. Active CMOs working and building technology for their companies. So, I mean, 73% of them, marketers are in love with AI. 73% of them picked AI as the transformative technology of 2018, or a technology that's dependent on AI to be the transformative technology of 2018. So that's exciting. Only 20% picked bots or smart assistants. I think that's kind of low. We'll get into that. 64% of marketers said, hey, 2018 is finally the year of big data. So that's awesome. We've been hearing about big data for so long. I think there's a lot of connection between those three things and many of the things that marketers are talking about. So we're going to dig into all that. Some of the predictions. We're going to dig into some of the misses, some of the things that I thought were kind of funny, actually. We won't name names. But we'll dig into some of those things. And welcome everybody who's joining us live. I see Paige White is joining us from, I believe it's Dallas, Texas. Welcome.
Yeah, I think someone is tuning in from Slovakia as well. Tanya, thanks for joining us. Quite a ways away. So yeah, let's jump into it. You said 73% said AI. That sounds like the biggest one for us to tackle first.
Awesome. Before I jump into that, I mean, we're talking about technology and marketing, right? I mean, it's an interesting topic. It's a tough topic. Hey, hi from Phoenix. Hi, Nelson. And I saw Prince Barron from San Francisco. Awesome. Catherine, welcome. Welcome, everybody. We're talking about technology and marketing in 2018 and what the top technologies in 2018 will be for marketers. It's a really interesting topic, but it's also a tough topic. I tend to think of Steve Jobs, how he characterized Apple as somewhere at the intersection of liberal arts and science, and that's where marketing is today. If you think about marketing, there's the art, there's the science, there's the creativity, there's the data, there's the ideas, and there's the technology. And the funny thing is, today we're looking at technology to make marketing more personal. So Brian Solis said, AI and machine learning will have the most profound impact on marketing in 2018 because it will fundamentally make marketing more human, which is ironic in and of itself. I thought that was one of the best comments that I got from the influencers and CMOs and marketers that we talked to. So I wanted to highlight that in one of my posts there and also here. Yeah, we did ask marketers what technology was transform marketing the most in 2018. AI was the overwhelming favorite, as you're saying, Christine. Marketers are in love. The question is Is this going to be a good romance? Is this going to be a bad romance? And I mean, I love to hear your comments as well, Christine, because you're an active marketer working hard and with high technology tools as well. But I see four key things, I think, in terms of AI and what marketers are hoping that AI will do for them. Marketers have all this data. We talked about big data. They want AI to understand that big data. They're drowning in that data. They don't know what to do with all that data. They're hoping AI can make sense of it. That's number one. Number two, marketers are looking for AI to piece together all the points inside that big data that make up the customer journey, right? Where did a customer come from? How did they get to me? Where are they going? How did it all work? And how can I make that happen again, right? That's one thing that marketers are looking for too, and that's number two. The third thing that I think marketers are looking for from AI is optimization. And we see that all over the place. Optimizing creative, optimizing messaging, optimizing offers. Which one is the best? Which will people respond to? And so we see a lot of AI inside tools for doing that. And then the fourth thing that I think marketers are looking for AI to do for them is to personalize at scale. Right? We all want to be more personal. That's the Brian Solis quote that I mentioned right off the top. We all want to be more personal at scale to millions of customers, right? For our brand. That's hard. We're looking for AI to do that.
Excellent.
What are you looking for AI to do, Christine?
I would definitely say your number 3 and number 4, optimization and personalization. So I'd say in 2018, looking at those predictive analytics as well as web personalization is something that the team is getting involved in as well.
Awesome. It's really interesting, actually, because marketers will have a tough time choosing technologies with AI in 2018. Why? Everybody knows it's the hot thing. Everybody's claiming that there's AI built into their systems. You're going to have to dig deeply to understand what exactly that means, because you can make that claim as a software vendor, as a vendor of marketing technology. You can make that claim based on putting a neural network in your code somewhere, and you can make a neural network. You know, little secret here: you can make a neural network in as few as 13 lines of code. So that doesn't necessarily mean that much. Or somebody can put, hey, we've got machine learning, so we've got an AI tool. That's awesome. You can do machine learning in 5 lines of code, right? This is not difficult at the extremely low levels. But you've got to be careful, make sure that it's real in the product, it matters, it's making a difference. There also are a few challenges, right? When you have an AI system, what did the machine do? Why did it do that? You're going to have to know some of those things if you're going to be GDPR compliant, right? The Data Protection Act that's coming into place in Europe this year. You've got to know some of those things. Why did a certain offer get made to a certain person? You've got to know those things, and sometimes the AI is a black box. But enough on the first one, Christine. Maybe we should move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's talk about bots and chat bots. So we are seeing these pop up everywhere. What did you hear from Frontlines?
Interesting. I mean, I thought it'd be higher, actually. About 20% of marketers said, hey, we think bots or chat bots are going to be the technology of 2018, the transformational technology for marketing of 2018. Clearly, bots or chat bots, I tend to like bots, but some people like chat bots, enable mass personalization of sales and support, right? That's kind of cool. That's very cool. That's incredible. But let's be really honest. Today, most bots are really stupid. They're not using a lot of AI. They're simple if-then statements that ladder down, and they're not actually helping that much. So the engagement rate, although increasing, is still low. What we do have right now is we have bot building platforms that are quite interesting, that are multi-platform, so I can deploy a bot with the same intelligence core on SMS, Facebook Messenger, Kik, you name it, WhatsApp, whatever messaging platforms, web, right? Whatever messaging platforms that I might be interested in using as a brand. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And can be trained on all your frequently asked questions, trained on your back-end data, those sorts of things. And then what we're seeing right now is the most helpful bots find the right place to hand off to a human, right? And I think marketers that's pretty critical, because at some point we do want that real human interaction. And at some point for the brand, that's worthwhile. That's worthwhile because there's an actual sale to be made here. There's a relationship to be made here. So we see KLM doing things like that. I think that that's pretty interesting. I think that there's a real room to grow here. One of the things that I really like about this is something that Chris Messina told me like 3 years ago. Chris Messina, if you don't know, ex-Googler, ex-Uber, guy who invented the phrase hashtag on Twitter. And he talked to me about continuous partial attention. That's what messaging and bots enable. So I'm on a trip, I'm doing a variety of things, I message my airline, I'm running late, can I move to the next flight or something like that? I continue running, getting my cab or my Uber or my Lyft or whatever the case might be, make sure my baggage is there. 3 minutes later, somebody can message back, or the AI can message back immediately if it can, but I can dip back in and dip out of that conversation while I'm doing everything else. That's really what messaging and bots can enable. Apps are focused moments, right? I'm full on in the moment. Messaging a little different, and bots can really take advantage of that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the time relevance is key. If you can capture them just at that instance, it can make all of the difference. So yeah, that is some fascinating stuff. So what about big data and personalization? A little bit tied into AI there.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, you know, big data has been the next big thing for, I don't know, what is it, 5 years now? It is going to be a big thing. It is going to power personalization. I connected those two because they were connected in marketers' minds and comments so often. And frankly, AI was probably the tool set that's going to unlock the value of big data, right? Not only is it going to give big training sets, right? It's also going to, AI looking at that can trace out routes and trace out data from individuals and find the best ways to respond to them. So I think that's really critical. Using big data doesn't require AI. You can do it without big data. But I think using AI with big data can make your solutions much more scalable.
Awesome. Here's another one that I think is integrated in all of our lives right now, but voice. Voice with our phones, Alexa. We are getting used to it already.
Absolutely. I mean, I think voice is really critical, and marketers are just really right now trying to understand what that means, what that looks like. Most of us have Alexa. She's waking up on my desk as I speak. I hope she doesn't interrupt us. I've also got a Google Home Mini, which I haven't unboxed yet. I've been too busy since Black Friday. Got the deal, right? We've been talking to Siri for a while. We're talking to Cortana, but we're entering an age of voice-first user interfaces. That's super interesting. And hey, Jonakai from Seattle, happy holidays to you too. We're entering an age of voice-first communications. That's really interfaces. That's really interesting. It's very different than what we've had in the past, and it has a huge impact on commerce and on how brands portray themselves, how brands go to market. So we saw Professor Scott Galloway from L2 on stage ask Amazon Alexa, can you buy batteries, right? And Alexa came back with a set of batteries that are Amazon Essentials. Now, I've spoken to Amazon, and they've said, actually, you can order any type of batteries on Amazon, via Alexa, via voice. But that was interesting. What it showed is, via voice, you don't have a page of results. You don't have 5 options that can be presented, right? You've got kind of the top. That's interesting. And that means that brands will have to have a good relationship with Amazon, with Apple, with Google, to ensure that when we ask Google Assistant, you know, what's the best restaurant close to me, or what's the, you know, what's the best TV for my room size, or whatever the case might be, that those brands are well positioned to be in that conversation, literally. So that's really interesting. We do see mixing of interfaces, right? We've got Alexa Show and other Echo Show, sorry, and other things coming out like that, where you do need a screen for some things. Let's say you're planning a vacation, hard to do all voice. You kind of want to see the picture of the hotel. You might want to pick the seat on the plane, other things like that. So we're going to see some mixed interfaces, but voice is really, really critical. And that assistant, that personal assistant, that agent, that's really critical, because I think that most of discretionary commerce could move to that model, at least be influenced by that model. And we've got to really rethink what we're doing in that age.
Right. I think what you said about changing the go-to-market strategy and how brands really communicate with customers is so interesting. I think one of the comments that you got was generally people maybe in the past were searching for general keywords like black t-shirt, but now it's where can I find the cheapest black t-shirt? So brands will really have to target and make sure that they are really answering questions for their customers.
Right. And if you're doing SEO, that's a very different type of optimization than black t-shirt, right? You've optimized for black t-shirt. Well, what had you optimized for that exact query? And that was the comment that you referenced. That's a smart comment.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think we're going to get into some of the good stuff now too. Fun stuff, we'll say, but insight at the edges. So yeah, I'll let you take that as you will.
This is an interesting one. AI was huge, absolutely. Voice, marketers know what's coming. Chatbots, bots, marketers know what's coming as well. What I did find in asking the 350 is I found some insight, what I call insight at the edges. One was Rishi Dave, CMO of Dun & Bradstreet. Others that were in there as well, that just gave responses that you can tell here's a working in the middle of the fight expert marketer who's thought deeply. And so they weren't the most popular answers, but I thought they were some of the most insightful. One of them, and this was Rishi Dave from Dun & Bradstreet. Hey, Jennifer, welcome. Rishi said, there's a lot of technologies out there, and there will continue to be a lot of technologies out there. And I don't think any one of them is going to be the most transformative for marketers and marketing in 2018. What I think is we've got a lot of work to do on ourselves, marketer skills, right? Marketing teams, collaboration skills, the ability to work together, and the ability to work with changing sets of technologies so that we're efficient and effective regardless of what the tools are. Super insightful, super insightful. Another one, I forget the gentleman's name. He's a CMO or CEO in India of a fairly large company. And he said, hey, you know what? It's mobile. And only 10% of marketers highlighted mobile in what I asked and in the surveying that I did. And he said, look, the next billion people are coming onto the internet are coming on via mobile. That's 100% true. And frankly, if you look at the maybe 3 or 4 billion that are on the internet right now, most of those are actually on via mobile. Look at China, look at India, look at Asia, look at all those other places, right? So you know what? There's insight there. There's relevance there. That's absolutely true. We know as marketers, we do have this next shiny tool syndrome, right? What's the next thing? What's coming? What's going to save me? What's going to make my life easy? What's going to power my brand to the next $1 billion idea, whatever it might be, right? And sometimes we need to look at the tools we have in our hands and use them better, because it takes us a few years to figure them out. Another comment I had is that it is relevant to, I guess, Rishi Dave's, right? And that he said, marketers have technology fatigue, right? There's too much. We need to do more with greater focus. And this person highlighted account-based marketing and said that account-based marketing is kind of almost a backlash to the 4,000, 5,000 technology solutions that are hitting marketers from all angles. Because it's a strategic approach to who's my customer, where's my customer, and how can I reach my customer? And that's really, really interesting, because most of that's not technology. Most of that's kind of here, right? strategy thinking. Not saying there aren't technologies to assist in account-based marketing, absolutely, and let's use them, absolutely. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And it's interesting for us at Tune because we're using an account-based marketing model right now also. So very interesting. And then I guess the fourth one that I'll highlight as kind of insight from the edges was around a marketing database of record. And I've written about that before. Others have talked about that before as well. Marketing is kind of the last discipline in the enterprise to have a system of record, right? Accounting has a system of record. Sales has a system of record, often Salesforce, other tools like that, right? Whatever it is. All the major divisions, production, supply chain, all that sort of thing, have systems of record. And marketing hasn't. Marketing's had a database here, a database there, a tool here, an Excel spreadsheet here, or should I say 500 Excel spreadsheets here, those sorts of things. And what we're moving towards, and AI feeds into this, big data feeds into this, personalization fits into this, is a way, whether it's in one database or it's in a data lake or it's accessible via an API and it's in multiple places but accessible via an API. What we're seeing is the ability of marketers to create a system of record that has information on my prospects, how I've touched them, where I've touched them, what I'm touching, how I'm touching them, and what they're interested in, as well as my customers, what they've bought, how they ordered, where they ordered from, are they continuing to order, are they moving from just customers to advocates, those sorts of things. And so we're seeing not only the expansion of the marketing scope of view from people who don't order from us to people who order from us already, as well as people who don't order from us. And we're seeing the ability to put all that data in one place or one accessible point and then query that with perhaps AI and big data tools, and then personalize the customer journey, communicate effectively at the moment of choice, engage with people in an effective way wherever they are in that customer journey. I think that's a really insightful thing. And I think that's a really, really big nugget for marketers to take away.
That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm hearing is both sides, which is there's a lot of shiny new toys that we can use, which are incredible. But at the same time, let's focus on marketing at its core and using that personal touch, maybe human ABM, or even using the tools that we're implementing already, like email. I think one of the comments said that still 80% emails at the top and we're still using it. So how can we make that a little bit more personalized with the shiny new tools that we have?
That's a funny one because I think 1.5% of marketers said email was the technology that will transform marketing most in 2018. So yeah, I kind of had a little laugh when I saw that. But you make a valid point. When we come to the list of marketing channels that have the highest ROI, email continues to, good old-fashioned email, 30-year-old email continues to be near the top of that list.
All right. Well, you mentioned this also in your insights, but where's mobile ranking on this list?
This is really interesting. And Nelson, I see your question, but I won't be able to get to it for a little bit. I'll hopefully get back to it. This is really interesting. So mobile's been the biggest change in technology over the past decade. It's also been the biggest change in marketing over the past decade, but we really, as marketers, haven't fully grasped what that means yet. And this year, shiny new toy syndrome, only 10% of marketers highlighted mobile, right? So why is that? It's not the new thing anymore. Here's, in my mind, the real reason for that. Mobile isn't the new thing anymore, but what mobile is it's the setting for everything else. You look at web use, mostly mobile. You look at email, mostly mobile. You look at social, mostly mobile. You look at all these other channels that we've traditionally had as, here's a pipe to my customer, here's another pipe to my customer. Many of these pipes, these channels, are on mobile. And I haven't even mentioned apps, which is obviously 100% mobile, right? So marketing is this, mobile is the setting for all of these channels. It's the ecosystem within which they live. That's interesting. And I think marketers are getting that now.
Thank you, John. All right. Well, this might be one of my favorite parts, but what about the sort of wacky responses that you got? What are some of the funny highlights you have?
This was kind of funny. We had some responses that I called buzzword salad, right? We really, some marketers tend to use a lot of buzzwords. No names, no companies mentioned. I will say this was a professor of marketing at a pretty prestigious school, and I got one paragraph from the marketer with 22 buzzwords. 22, right? Machine learning, demographic profiling, conversational speech, killer app, transactional platforms, mixed reality, location-based services, big data. I will spare you the full list, but I thought that was pretty funny. And what we also got, and by the way, this whole report that we're basing this on, about 12,000 words. Yeah, sorry, it's big. Is on the Tune blog right now. If you Google Marketing Technology 2018 Tune, you'll probably find it. So some of the other funny ones were, yeah, buzzword salad, absolutely. Some of the other funny ones were very self-serving. So I had a domain name provider, a marketer for a domain name provider, and said the biggest technology of 2018 is domain names. That was a surprise to me. I hadn't known that. I wouldn't have known that. In fact, I may still not know that. Another, and not hugely wrong necessarily, but this was a streaming media provider to customize streaming media from your site, from your app, that sort of thing. So streaming video is the transformative technology of 2018. Well, that's closer to the mark. We're doing it right now, right? But do I think it's the transformative? I'm not so sure. I had one of those about e-payments. Here's the best one. Direct mail, catalog marketing. We transformed the tech. So yeah, I didn't buy that so much, but I did enjoy that. And thank you. Somebody who's watching the live stream, Becky, has just posted a link to the blog where this post is. So excellent. Go check it out. There's many things we will not get to, but we do have some questions, I believe, right, Christine?
We do. Even before we went live, we got around 50 questions. So we can't get to them all probably today, but we hope we hit some good ones for you. So the first one we have is from Mimi from Blue Focus, and she says, what AI-dependent technology or application will be adopted first?
I think the answer to that is pretty simple, and I think we're seeing it today. We're seeing it in a lot of tools, and that's optimization. We see a lot of tools that are optimizing, testing and optimizing around targeting, around creative, around messaging. We see that in tools like Optimizely. We see that in tools from Tune, frankly, or in-app marketing. We see a lot of tools that are doing that. It's a easy. It's low-hanging fruit for introducing AI into the marketing technology stack.
Great. I have another one from Chris from Tap Heaven. It's another AI question. He says, how do you foresee AI to change the MarTech game?
This is an interesting question, Chris. Thank you so much for it. And I looked into my crystal ball. I looked at all the answers that we had, and I came up with a few things. And so I'm going to say a few things here. I'm not sure if I believe 100% of what I'm saying here, but I think I believe about 95 or maybe 85%. And I'm trying to be a little bit out there, 2-3 years out there. We'll see what goes. Some of them are slam dunk. Some of them are a little out. So Chris, here we go. Here we got Chris, you're on. Awesome. Good to see you. Slam dunk, plug and play, testing, optimization of everything. We do everything. We have 2 or 3, 5 options, and we test and we optimize, and there we go. Targeting, creative, messaging, you name it, we're everything. I think we'll also see smart personalized analytics and automated engagement based on insights. So on a personalized level, I see what a customer is doing, what a prospect is doing, and I automate engagement that's personalized based on those insights. I think we're seeing that now to some degree. I think we'll continue to see that. I wonder, and this one is a little bit tricky, I wonder if we're going to see personalization of all messaging that a brand does. Personalization of all messaging that a brand does. No more shotguns, only rifles, in other words, not to be violent, but personalizing exactly to the person. That's a tricky one because today there's still room for mass. You see that in the biggest apps, you see that in the biggest brands, that they have a solution that's for enough people that they can do mass, right? They can do old-fashioned broadcast TV or other things like that. But we may move this direction. I think that, third thing, I think that at some point fourth thing, sorry. At some point we will have AI from a marketer that does a smart interface with people's privacy settings and says, oh, this is kind of who you are, and here's what you're kind of willing to reveal. Here's what I can tell you about what I can do for you. And there'll be some interaction back and forth there. Fifth thing, just to go a little farther with that, I think that we'll see mobile moments actually work, right? The theory behind a mobile moment is I'm in the moment of need. I need something right now. And a brand swoops in like Superman from the sky or an angel that comes from heaven. And wow, there's the thing I need. It's the Starbucks latte. It's the winter tires when I'm stuck on the road or whatever it is. That's those sorts of things, right? Right now, it's very, very challenging to make them work because we don't have appropriate levels of information. Getting appropriate levels of information requires a very involved privacy conversation that is challenging and difficult to do. I think that in the future, a marketing AI will interface with our personal agents, our personal assistants, which kind of know what we're doing, where we're at, our calendars, our email, our messages, those things. We've allowed them to do that because we own them and we control them, and actually make those mobile moments work much, much better. So I think that's something to come. Other things, dynamic pricing. I think we'll see that. Improved targeting. That's a no-brainer. It's happening right now. And a final one that I'll add, Chris, less advertising, but smarter. So I think those are some of the things that AI can do to change the MarTech game. Some of those we're seeing today. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Some of those we can see today. Some of those are more futuristic.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It makes a marketer's mind just excited. We got some more. If you guys are already out there listening, Richard from 360 Partners, he says, what impact will machine learning and AI have on digital marketing agencies that don't leverage technology out there?
Really short answer. I think the stupid will die. Not to be nasty or anything like that, but I mean, smart wins. We see that in business everywhere. I think we'll continue to see that. And that does not mean that everybody who blindly adopts all the technologies all the time will win. It does mean that smart marketers who engage artificial intelligence tools in the right places, use them efficiently and effectively, have an edge over ones that do not. And I think that they will win.
Great. So we actually haven't tackled this one yet, and I know that there are a lot of fans out there, but blockchain technology, Dustin from Advolution asks, as blockchain technology becomes more widely used, how do you think this will play out in the digital marketing world?
This is a really interesting one, and we do delve into it in the post on the blog as well, and had a lot of comments on that, and had some really, really smart marketers and influencers talk about how blockchain technology will revolutionize a lot of things in business, including in marketing. I think there's plenty of opportunity here, especially in advertising, not so much in marketing. And I'm going to differentiate here, even though those are very closely related, and the people who do advertising are often the people who do marketing and vice versa. Marketing is typically an activity that people do inside an organization and send out and have data that they access internally amongst themselves. So I see blockchain technology, which is distributed ledger technology, which is the ability to share information without sharing trust, right, is more useful in advertising, where we have issues. We have issues around privacy. We have issues around fraud. We have issues around targeting, all those other things like that. So I see some opportunities there. There's lots of challenges, and I have a big long post on the Tune blog about that. Google Tune blockchain Coetsier, and you'll find it for sure. We need more scalability. Bitcoin's blockchain is horrifically unscalable right now. Slow, expensive to do transactions on. There are solutions coming. multiple solutions, and there are different types of blockchain technologies that are more inherently scalable as well, but they're not exactly all here yet or happening. However, we do have some challenges to blockchain entering the digital advertising ecosystem or the MarTech ecosystem in a broader sense. So question, how is blockchain in Google's best interests? How is blockchain in Facebook's best interests? We have to answer those types of questions because there are power relationships inherent in the space right now. And new technology changes things. Change is inherently disruptive in many cases to existing power relationships. We have to think about that. What does that look like? What does that mean? Right? And if we are going to get a blockchain-based solution into ad tech, we'll need a coalition of significant advertisers to demand it. And they'll only do that if there's a solution out there that think, whoa, that's really cool. That offers huge benefits for all parties, and we need to adopt that. So there's power relationships here that are going to impact which technologies will come to the fore, and blockchain is one of those.
Great. All right, we have one from Robert from Kroger, and he says, could you touch a little bit on alternative forms of payment, cryptocurrency, touched a little bit on Bitcoin, etc. Yeah.
That's an interesting one as well. Steam recently disabled paying in Bitcoin. Steam, of course, is the online gaming, who needs a console, access 100,000 games right here, right? They disabled Bitcoin. So a couple things here. First of all, I believe that all currency will eventually become cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies will be nationalized. We already see the digital ruble, right? We're seeing the petro dollar in Venezuela. Who they really really need it there, and mass inflation. They really need a cryptocurrency there, and they're working on that. I think we're going to see similar things in many other economies. If we look at money right now, which crypto and cryptocurrency people typically refer to as fiat currency, doesn't have any inherent value anyways. It has value because we've determined as a society that it has value. I think we're going to move to crypto for a variety of reasons. That it's more useful, it's quicker, it's easier to manage and track, and other things like that. But we're not there yet. How much is it? Is it 1 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin? Is it $3,000 or $4,000? The values are fluctuating too much. The transaction costs are too high right now in a lot of cases. There are workarounds, there are solutions to this, there are evolving ones as well. But in terms of all the altcoins that you might look at that have some easier payment capabilities than Bitcoin, then you have questions, is that value stable enough to accept as a form of payment? That's challenging right now.
Looks like Jen and I have a question about stability.
Yes, exactly. It's coming, but it's not quite there yet. Sorry, Christine, go ahead.
I was going to say, who do you think, in terms of leaders, Google, Facebook, Amazon, might be adopting one of these first? I mean, it's a total wow.
That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I don't know. We saw that Kik. Kik is a social network, mobile social network for teens, very successful. Some hundreds of millions of users, if memory serves. Came out with Kin and raised somewhere around $100 million or $150 million with that cryptocurrency. Very interesting. What would happen if a major company, one of the GAFA, right, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, did something like that? I'm not sure I see that happening yet, but if it did, it would be an earthquake in the landscape. Be very, very interesting.
They are the trendsetter. Oh, man. Yeah, Jennifer Wong, she says she thinks it's going to be wild to think we ever carried this full currency.
Yeah.
But we might reach that day.
Yeah, exactly. I interviewed Tim Draper at Web Summit in Lisbon. Tim Draper is a venture capitalist, Draper Fisher Jurvetson, you've heard of it. I think they dropped the last name off that VC firm recently. And he is the one who bought, I believe it was, how many Bitcoin? It was 30,000 Bitcoin or something like that was seized from the Silk Road underground marketplace by the FBI. and I believe he paid somewhere around $20 million or something like that for them for a number of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and now worth over $200 million. So he said in 5 years, it'll be laughable to pay in fiat currency. So we'll see.
We will see. All right. Here's an interesting one from Scott from Partner Economy. We don't want to start any wars here, but he asks, what is better, Marketo or HubSpot, and why?
Not an answerable question. They're different. They have different price points. They have different use cases. Yeah, there's overlap, no doubt about it. But they're aimed at different types of companies. Enough said.
That is a proper answer there. So we have Michael from Innovid. To what extent is Tune seeing a surge in interest from brand marketers as opposed to traditional app download campaigns?
Well, it's huge, actually. In fact, brands and enterprises is our business now. I mean, we have a lot of great mobile first and mobile only companies as well. And yes, they want the app install, absolutely. But it's not about the app install. It's about acquiring a customer. And you can acquire a customer in a lot of ways. You can acquire a customer on the web. You can acquire a customer via email. You can acquire a customer via mobile. Many different ways to acquire a customer. An app download is only one step. Now, it's a great step. It's a wonderful step. Because it's so close to it's on the 3-foot device, and you have the ability to message and communicate with somebody. You have a deep relationship with them. If you can get engagement there, absolutely wonderful, great. But it's one step. And yes, we are seeing all the brands and enterprises come in and treat mobile as a great way to get closer to their customers.
Awesome. All right, I really like this next one from Jeff from Thurlow. He says, what do you think should be the top 5 priorities for CMOs?
Well, this is the easy question, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, wow, and super simple. I thought about it a little bit, Jeff. Thank you for the question. And I came up with 5. One of them is a bit funny, but actually really, really important. Okay, number 1. Top 5 priorities for CMO. Number 1, I think a CMO still has to focus first on things that have nothing to do with technology, or almost nothing to do with technology. You need to answer key brand questions. Who are we, right? What are we? Who are we for? Those types of questions, right? What do we do? What's our brand messaging? Who are our customers? Those sorts of things. Need to answer those questions. I think second thing, top 5 priorities for a CMO, understand the customer. And I'm not talking about personas. I'm not saying personas don't matter. I'm not saying you can't use personas, absolutely. But I'm talking about customer journey data. And getting back to that idea that we talked about earlier, Christine, about a customer database, a marketing system of record. Where are my customers coming from? What are they doing? How can I engage with them? What are they asking for? Where is it? On what platforms? In what technologies? And how can I bring that together to be really, really smart about that? And then I'm understanding the customer. I'm not just understanding the prospect. I'm understanding the person who is maybe becoming interested in me, to is interested in me, to buying, to owning, and beyond, right? All through that cycle to advocacy. So I need to understand that journey, and I need to be able to impact and influence that journey. Really, really critical. And that's number 3 in the top 5 priorities for a CMO. Optimize connection with the customer via messaging and technology, right? That's in advertising, that's in marketing, and that's also in my product and my product experience. That's why we're seeing so many products these days that come with an app, that products that are configurable, products that are smart, right? Because I have a product experience with them that extends into the digital world. And that means an opportunity for a brand to learn about my use of their product, a brand to connect with me around the use of their product, a brand to extend their relationship with me and grow it over time for more share of wallet. So that's number 3, optimize connection with the customer via messaging and technology. And then 4, and maybe this is number 1. So we could really argue about the positioning here because, you're not going to get anywhere without a great team. So I'll put it in number 4, but it probably should be number 1. hire the best team. You are only as good as your marketing team. You have to hire people that are better than you in all the key areas that you've got to place them in, and you've got to integrate those people well with the technology teams in your organization, in your enterprise. And 5 of the top 5 priorities for a CMO. This one is the one that's a little bit jokey, a little bit funny. Be nice to your CEO. Really, really important. CMOs have the shortest lifespan of any CXO, right? Of anybody in the executive suite, CMOs, they die the quickest, right? 2 years, toast, right? That's not everybody, obviously, but that's the average. And you've got to find a way to make quick impact. You've also got to build your bridges within the organization, not only so that you can achieve that impact, because you can't achieve it alone, but also so that, you know what, when inevitably the waves come, you've got some support, you've got some help. So those are my 5, Christine.
Yeah, and I would say if you build a great team as a CMO, maybe you'll build a better relationship with your CEO.
Wow, like it.
All right. Well, we have one from Eugenia, who comes to us from Procter & Gamble. So thanks so much for submitting. And she says, what are TV broadcasters going to do to differentiate and incentivize a live audience?
This is a really interesting one because, of course, we're all time shifting. PVR started it, a decade ago or something like that, right? And now we're streaming. It's OTT. We're binge watching all of Stranger Things in 2 nights, right? It's not the old fashioned world of an episode with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and now I got to wait another week to see more of Miami Vice or whatever the case might be, right? Might be aging myself there a little bit, I'm not sure. It's interesting. If you do want a live audience, it needs to be a cultural event, right? It needs to be an immediate thing. Right now, that's sort of sports, that's politics, that's news or something like that. But there are some interesting examples of what people are doing in mobile that are building live audiences. And one that came to mind was, it's a quiz app, HQ Quiz. It's made by the inventors of Vine. So you remember Vine, Twitter bought it and then shut it down. A little video clip, 6 seconds or something like that, got super successful and then lost. But HQ Trivia last week or a couple weeks ago had 400,000 simultaneous players. They have a trivia game. You can win real money. You need to be on live. It has a host who's kind of an interesting, funny guy. And kind of engaging, that sort of thing. You need to be on live and you're playing this game and you can win real actual money. It's not tons, $100, couple $100, whatever the case might be, but you're playing live and there's a social aspect to it. That's interesting. That's really interesting. We haven't really seen that in mobile before. So now if they can take that, and so they have 400,000 simultaneous players a couple weeks ago. Maybe they can get to a couple million. You're talking mass audience, right? You're talking live audience, incentivized, very, very interesting. You're also talking a live audience, a mass audience that can be personally targeted, right, through the technology that we have in ad tech and other things like that. Now, if they can channelize that, sort of do a Reddit, subreddit thing and have trivia games on technology, politics, Kardashians, you name it, whatever you want to talk about, that could easily get into the tens of millions. Very interesting. Those ingredients are critical. Live video, mobile platform, social experience, prizes. And if we do that, I think there's some really, really interesting things we can do.
I think I need to try this. This sounds like an upgrade from my Quizlet app. All right. Well, we have actually a number coming in live. I know that we might not have time to get to all of them. John, can you see them on your end? Are there any coming to mind?
I cannot, actually. I lack the ability. I'm powerless in this. You have all the power.
All right. Let me see if I can. One thing I saw come through was if you are in ad tech, should you go into MarTech?
Well, Martech is a clear open space. I mean, there's only about 5,000 technologies there and companies. Lots, there's no competition easily. What's more interesting than going from ad tech to martech? And ad tech has the same problem. I mean, there's so many startups there. There's so many logos there. It's incredible. They're both very busy spaces where there's been tons of investment in the past few years. What's more interesting than going from ad tech to martech is combining the two. I've seen some really, really interesting things over the past years, being a technology journalist and analyst and doing what I do for Tune as well. And some of them are, like anonymous marketing automation. You don't know who they are, but you see them sort of popping up here and there. You see a device ID or something like that, and you see them kind of going on a customer journey. And by planting the right things in via ad tech and using a martech solution as well, combined in a common database between the two of them, trying to feed and engage that relationship. Interesting. Maybe there's the big smush, which I've called it before, between ad tech and martech, is something that you can execute in your company. That might be something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have one here for Christine where we had this question earlier and we had a few down, and I don't know who asked it, but the question was, what more can be done to make mobile app attribution and measurements simpler and transparent for advertisers? So I saw that question. I didn't know. So I asked Peter. Peter Hamilton is the CEO of Tune. Long experience in the attribution space, obviously, and a mobile expert in many, many different places. And I said, hey, so I asked him, it was 11:19 p.m. last night. Okay, he said, well, to see web and app measurement together, that'd be a big deal. That's pretty cool. And then to highlight differences in methodologies as well, right? Example, inline partners versus measurement URL versus server to server, right? So you get better funnel representation and somehow get real uninstall numbers from Apple and Google. So that was his answer. What can be done to make mobile app attribution and measurement simpler and more transparent for advertisers?
I like that. And it's definitely on the forefront. I think we have time for maybe one more you want to say?
Absolutely. Let's go. Yeah. Probably the one that stumps me, but hey, let's go.
I like this one on AI. It's from Catherine. She says, what approach would you recommend for small companies and marketing departments to make the most of AI and other MarTech developments on a limited budget?
There are some really, really cool marketing clouds that are really, really cheap. I did a massive report on marketing clouds a couple years ago for VentureBeat when I was leading VB Insight, the research arm of VentureBeat. 20,000 word report, looked at about 15 different marketing clouds. There is a marketing cloud for every budget. And really, there's some that combine a lot for a little. If you message me afterwards, maybe put a comment in here, I'll get back to you with a couple examples of ones that are really, really cool. The important thing is to look at the percentage of revenue that you're spending on MarTech. And for some, it's approaching critical proportions. You can't buy everything. And frankly, if you're a small organization, you have to look at what is the size of the tool that I can manage with the team that I have. I can buy Marketo. I can buy Salesforce Marketing Cloud. I can buy Adobe Marketing Cloud. Absolutely. But can I manage it with my team of 3? Right? Yeah, I'd have some questions about that. I'd have some concerns about that. So there are some really great options. And if you connect with me some way, shape, or form, I'd be happy to share a couple of their names.
Thank you so much, John. And thank you everyone who's tuned in today and submitted questions. We'll try and reach out to you and answer as many of them as we can. But happy holidays, everyone. And we hope you have a really great new year as well.
And even before we sign off, you're wearing the Has Offers ugly sweater. I think you got to show that sweater. I mean, that is the ugly Christmas sweater there. Perfect, wonderful. Also, thank you, Christine. You did a wonderful job moderating this. I really appreciate it. Thanks everybody who asked questions. Chris, you're totally welcome. Others, you're totally welcome. This has been a lot of fun. We got to do it more often.
Perfect. And if you want to reread John's blog post, you can visit us at tune.com/blog. and you'll find a lot of great resources, including what we talked about today. All right. Well, I hope all of y'all have a great rest of your day, and again, Happy New Year.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.